The unveiling of the company of heaven. Every man and every woman is a star.
Welcome once again to the Free Radical Media Podcast. I am Eric Scott Picard, one of your co-hosts for the evening and most evenings. Our other co-host is, as ever, Patrick Ryan.
How's it going, everyone?
I don't think they can respond, Pat. All right, well, we have a pretty fun show. We have a pretty fun show tonight. We're here with our old friend Spiros Cogan. Spiros is an artist, the author of a number of books, including The Mushroom Seamstress, a musician, and an explorer of ayahuasca, the psilocybin mushroom, and psychedelics in general, and a member of the Queendom of Ramadi, all of which we will talk about soon. Spiros, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi. How are you all?
Very good tonight. Very good.
Yeah, awesome. We're doing excellent.
Awesome. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good too.
Good. Well, Spiros, where are you coming to us tonight? Stockholm?
Yes, I'm presently I'm located in Sweden, which is one of the reasons I stay here is because it's a very peaceful country, at least, you know. It's there's no dictators and it's a peaceful place, you know. So I kind of stick around here. I'm in Sweden at the moment.
Excellent. So I talked a little bit about your background. I mean, you're an artist, a musician, an author.
Yes.
What exactly? Well, first of all, what led you to this sort of lifestyle or toward art in general, and specifically, and also what brought you to psychedelics in that context? Because in previous conversations, it seems like those two are very wrapped closely together for you.
Right. Well, I don't know. Like I remember being, 10, 11, 12 years old, and I got a job on the zoo, the local zoo. I was interested in rainforest animals and the rainforest, and I got a job there as a 12-year-old. And and then from that, I became interested in North American Indians, and then I became interested in the Indians of the South Americas. And so during the years, and then it, eventually it led to weed when I was 16,
Sure.
And so I began smoking weed when I was young, and then that led to the mushroom, and I found the mushroom, the psilocybin mushroom, after a while, So I don't know, it just things led to another, and eventually when I was 16, 17, I ate mushrooms for the first time, and I just felt I'd found home. This is my home. This is what I want to explore, so I don't know. It's like that.
Have you, I mean, what sort of, assuming you may have dabbled in other psychoactives, what in your opinion sort of separated psilocybin from the others?
Well, the psilocybin was just, it felt like coming home. For me, it was like coming home, as I said. And something about it that just, it's like being a human being for the first time. It's
Right.
like you've forgotten how it is to be a human being in your true nature,
Mm-hmm.
And when you eat mushrooms, you just, you remember everything. It's like remembering how it is to be human, how it is to be a person, a whole person. And that felt very important to me. So I just said to myself, I want to explore this. And I did. I went to Spain and I lived in the forest for 6 months. And then I went to India and I lived there for 3 years in Asia, in different countries in Asia. And I just explored the mushroom for years, just eating mushrooms and exploring it. And yeah, so
That's interesting. How was, in your opinion, how was the culture surrounding psilocybin in India?
well, it was pretty weird because it grows wild in India,
Right.
and I used to pay these locals. I used to pay them a little bit, and they went and picked mushrooms for me,
Sure.
but it's not really part of the culture like Hinduism and Buddhism. It's not really mentioned there.
Right.
But you get the feeling that it's been a part of the past in India. I'm pretty sure, because it grows wild there, and everybody knows about the mushroom, but it's not widely used,
Hmm.
That
or widely mentioned anyway.
right. That has been probably one of the biggest enigmas for me ever since getting involved studying this stuff. Without a doubt, it's you could study Hinduism, you could study Buddhism, and you read these accounts of these mystical states of consciousness these people reach, and same with Chinese philosophy, but there's never really any mention of the mushroom.
I know. It's so strange.
and,
It's so weird.
and it's like the mushroom gives you that exact state.
Exactly.
And then
It's the weirdest thing.
it is an enigma. It really is. And it's like even studying something like Chinese medicine, which has
Yeah,
a
yeah.
plethora of different herbs. I mean, just about every herb and root and even
Right,
insects
right.
they've put in this elaborate medicinal
Yeah,
system,
yeah.
and there's no mention of
I
psilocybin
know.
mushrooms. And it's like, what
I
the
know.
hell's going on here?
And well, what's going on is it's bullshit, man. I mean, the mushroom has been there all the time. It must have been, you know.
Well, you do see
But
in China, in representations of art, you see the mushroom being used. Particularly in I couldn't name which dynasty, but some of the early dynasties.
right,
There's mushrooms paired with images
right.
of the immortals in Taoism.
Uh-huh,
You know,
uh-huh.
so it's kind of and just like kind of in art throughout the world, the mushroom's kind of hidden. I mean, I think
Yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of us
yeah,
have seen
yeah.
some of those things where the mushroom's kind of hidden in various ancient and up to medieval art.
Yes, totally. Yeah, and we have the Soma, if you've heard about the Soma of India,
Sure.
which was like this. It was like a plant that brought you into contact with the gods and all this. And nobody to this day knows exactly what Soma was, but you know, I heard an interesting guy actually. He said that I don't think Soma was one plant. I think it was several plants,
I
which is
I
kind of interesting way to
I
look at it.
agree. I think I actually I may have heard or read an article from the same person, but
Yeah,
he was discussing how in various parts of India, because obviously it's a massive area, okay, um,
yeah,
that they found ceremonial bowls with trace amounts of these concoctions of different psychedelic and non-psychedelic herbs, and he thinks that the soma was probably the recipes were regional. So some of
yeah,
them may have
exactly.
contained ephedra,
Yeah,
cannabis,
yeah,
psilocybin
exactly.
mushrooms,
Yeah,
various kinds of
yeah,
psychoactives,
yeah.
depending on the region.
Yeah, but I remember when I lived in India, and I lived in this mountain area, and I would be looking for mushrooms there. They grow wild there on the grasslands, and I would go out there and I would say to some locals, I would say, can you find mushrooms? Do you know how to find mushrooms? And they would be like, oh wait, so go with me under this tree over here, and we'll talk in private. And then you go, yeah, I know where mushrooms are. You know, I know there's loads of mushrooms over here. You know, but give me a few rupees, give me some money, and I'll show you where the mushroom. It was pretty hush hush, you know. But like all the locals knew about the mushroom, you know. And I can't imagine in India, I can't imagine the way they live there. I can't imagine how they would not have discovered the properties of the mushroom during all those years. You know, of course they knew about it.
Right.
You know?
It's just that damn good that they had to keep it secret.
Yeah,
You know?
sort of like that, you know? Like, I mean, so of course they knew about the mushroom. It grows fucking wild all over the place, man. I mean, India is a really cool place. I like it, but of course they knew about the mushroom, but it was hush hush because you know it was such an extreme experience. Also, you know, I think the extremeness of the experience of psychedelics probably relates also to why it's hush hush. You know,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like it's not a easy experience. It's an extreme experience.
And the very fact that it dissolves ego, even though that's what, you know, Hinduism and Buddhism's all about, but the very fact that it dissolves that ego means that it dissolves structures. And what ultimately is Hinduism and Buddhism at the end of the day? You know, it's another organized structure.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the priestly classes, you know, do feel threatened about something like that at the end of the day, you know.
Yeah, well, it's as some people say, you know, that like if you via psychedelics can get a direct relationship with God and your own godlyhood, then why would you go to a priest?
Exactly.
You know, why would you need someone else to help you out with that if you can have it on your own? And I think that's pretty connected with these like structures, as you call it, you know, these religions and because they become hierarchical and like there's priests and there's blah 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 and all this, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah, it's certainly I think it's threatening to hierarchies. I mean, I've always thought true spirituality and true the psychedelic experience in general is threatening to hierarchies. That's why it's always been.
Totally.
Yeah, so you know, pushed into the fringes.
Totally, it is.
What was the quote that I stumbled upon a few weeks ago? It said something to the extent of, and I don't even know who the original author of this quote was, unfortunately, but it was, shamanism is to religion as anarchism is to the state. And I really felt like that nailed it.
Exactly.
No, but it is like that. It is like that. That's why, you know, we're trying to do something with the Queendom of Ramadi, where, you know, the Queendom of Ramadi, the website and artsetfree.com and my books and all this.
Sure.
So the Queendom of Ramadi, we're trying to, what we want to do is just simply make people feel good about themselves and blossom in their godlyhood, you know. And we're not trying to create a queendom where there's a hierarchy. Everyone is queen and king, you know. And we're trying to help people blossom in their own godlyhood. That's the only thing we're trying to do. So it's not, you know, it's not a queendom where there's a highest queen and a highest king. But it's everyone is king and queen, you know, as it was actually back in Crete. And now I'm jumping a little bit. I was expecting you to eventually ask me about these things.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, actually, I do want to talk about the Queendom of Ramadi. You know, I do have questions. You know, is it an art collective? Is it a lifestyle? Is it a philosophy?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny because it's like we're just letting it grow as it wants to, you know.
Yeah.
And for me and my family, like my closest family, and for my closest friends and my wives and husbands, I have several wives and several husbands. For us, it's a real queendom. You know, we live in the Queendom of Ramadi. We don't live in Sweden or USA or India. We live in the Queendom of Ramadi. So for us, it's a real queendom. But now we're inviting the whole world into it, you know,
Sure.
and we're trying to make it clear that it's not a hierarchical thing where there's one queen who rules everything. It's about trying to help people blossom in their godlyhood, in their own godlyhood, you know, and helping people come home, because we feel that one of the most important things in life, actually, as we feel it, me and the Cogan family, as we feel it, is to come home to the earth as Eden, you know, the Eden, the Garden of Eden, the paradise, home
Mm-hmm.
to your heart, home to yourself, home to each other and the people you love, home to under the sun, you know, home to the universe. So like coming home, as ayahuasca is a lot about, is about coming home and blossoming as the one you are in your own godlyhood. So we founded a queendom in what we feel is home. You know, when we take mushrooms and drink ayahuasca, as we do in the Cogan family, we feel we're home. It's like touchdown, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
you know what I mean? Have you ever felt that experience, guys?
Oh,
You know, where you
absolutely.
come home.
Where everything just comes together. Sure.
Yeah, everything just comes together. And so this is what we do. We drink ayahuasca and we eat mushrooms and we come home. And then what we did was we founded a queendom there in that home, which we call the Queendom of Ramadi.
Mm.
And and you know, now we're beginning to just invite people and say, like, let's just be home together or something, you know. You
Sure.
know, in a very playful manner as well, you know, but in a very beautiful, serious manner as well, but in a very playful manner. You know, let's just be home together. You know.
Well, you know, it's like I always remind people, you know, even if you're struggling against a system, you're struggling against something, there should be some joy in it. You know, if there's no
Totally,
joy in it, I mean, there's no point in doing it. You know, if it's
totally,
going to make you
totally,
miserable, don't do it. You
exactly,
know.
exactly.
So this is
And
the queendom then exists kind of in the psyche. It's a state of mind.
yes, as someone said to me, a friend of mine, she said, you know, it's a state of wonder. You know,
Mm.
and yeah, that's what it is. But I think, you know, well, at least me and my family, and I have several wives and husbands, and we live together and in the Queendom of Ramadi, and we say, like, this is our um, it's our we have agreed to call it our home, you know, like, let's be home together, you know. And it's very much connected to the archaic revival, as Terence McKenna spoke so much about.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we're just doing it in our way. You know, we're calling it the Queendom of Ramadi, and it's a kind of archaic revival. It's a way of reviving the styles and fashions of the past. You know.
Sure. You know, it's strange how often that our conversations come back to Terrence.
Mm.
Isn't it, Pat? I mean, oftentimes we
They
end up
always do.
stumbling
They
into
always do.
Right.
yeah.
They always do.
Um, but yeah, the archaic revival, and you know, we see that in different forms. This is just one form of that, you know, and we see that in different forms all over the place. You know,
Right. Yeah.
it's very interesting, and I think there's something in the consciousness that's leading people toward, you
Oh,
know,
totally.
a
Totally.
revolution of the spirit. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My friend said today, we were talking on the phone, and he said, you know, I don't think we even need to do anything for the archaic revival to happen. It's going to happen anyway, you know, he said. And I kind of can agree with him. It's like this is something that's happening. It's not like we don't even have to do anything specifically. You know, it's happening. It's a global phenomena. You know.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because on one level it's us reclaiming our roots, and then on another it's something that it's in the future.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
You know, it's both a revolution and an evolution if you look at the
Yes,
meaning of
yes,
both of those words. You know, a
yes,
return to
yes,
something, but also the advancement into something new. And I think that's a very beautiful thing.
yes. And I think also we have to give the freedom and the space for it to express itself in any way that it wants to. You know, we can't get focused on like you have to be a hippie and you have to have long hair and you have to, you know, walk around in a skirt, you
Right.
know, or maybe you have to be a rock and roll guy and you have to get tattoos and you have to do like I'm talking about that it's going to express itself in an infinity of ways.
Right.
You know, this primal this thing that's coming forth from all of us, it's going to express itself in any way. Like I know I'm looking at my desktop picture here that I saved to my desktop, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and it's of a band called Girls' Generation. And they're like 9 girls. It's like a Japanese band. I don't know if you heard of it, but it's a Japanese band, and they're like 9 girls, and they've always felt very cool to me. And they have a song called "Flower Power," right?
Hmm.
Okay.
And these are like 9, you know, 19-year-old girls, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, they have a song called "Flower Power," and I'm just saying that like this whole energy that's coming, it's going to express itself on all levels, all over the place, you know. And we need to accept that it's not going to be only in the spirit of the 1960s and
Right.
hippies and stuff like this. It's going to express itself all over the place.
As Terrence used to say, it's infinite novelty.
Yeah, it's infinite novelty. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You know, like the 1960s, for example, was just an early manifestation, I think, of what
Yeah,
can
totally.
occur now. And I think it is
Oh,
about that
totally.
plurality. You know, it's
Yeah,
not
it
about
is.
fitting some kind of pre-existing mold or, you
I
know,
know,
fitting
I
into
know.
some kind
And
of pre-existing culture. It's about
no, no.
creating and manufacturing new
Mm,
cultures and
absolutely. And I
eliminating
think
culture in general, you know.
Hmm.
absolutely. And like, you know, we need to get used to the idea that it's much bigger than what we can control, you know? Like I mean, there's so many areas. It's like we have virtual reality going on now. We got the Oculus Rift going on right now.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the Oculus Rift? You know,
Oh,
it's
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, like all these things that's going on, and we used to think of it as like, oh yeah, we're hippies and we're taking psychedelics. Actually, as we go back to Terence McKenna, he said that you know psychedelics are only a or the expression of psychedelics is only one aspect of the whole. It's like everything is actually everything is psychedelic, basically. You know, even if you don't if even if you're not into psychedelics, science is psychedelic, you know,
Sure.
with the Hubble telescope and the, you know, whatever. So
Makes you wonder at what point is the World Wide Web gonna be able to give you something equivalent to the psychedelic experience, because it definitely
yeah,
seems like
totally.
it's heading in that direction,
Mhm.
you know.
Totally, totally.
It really does, you
Well,
know, and we spend so much time in the virtual realm. I mean, it is only a matter of time. I mean, I think the internet's
totally,
probably
totally.
a catalyst. You know, I mean, it's certainly a catalyst for this new transformation of consciousness, I think.
Yeah, totally. And
Totally.
I think a lot of people, even a lot of people from like the '60s generation, I've heard them say, "Oh, the internet, it's a negative force. Everyone just wants to sit inside and look at a screen, and they kind of frame it in this, oh, it's just a bunch of nuts and bolts and some sort of negative technological."
Right.
But really, when you look at the effect of it, it's a very feminizing force. It breaks down boundaries. It allows you to look at things from multiple perspectives. And I mean, yeah, sure, now we're all maybe sitting in front of a screen, but 20, 30 years from now, who knows what manifestation it'll take.
Totally. Like I can't mention a few things that I want to say regarding that because they are too kinky.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Well, hey, look, I mean, we can get kinky. We're not afraid of being kinky on this
right.
show.
This is
right. Well,
we're free and radical, man.
okay.
Right, this is an open forum.
Are you ready?
Absolutely. We're
Okay.
ready.
Well, because I was watching a porno a while ago, which was an animated porno. And the funny thing about this particular one was that the animated characters in the porno were like so perfectly animated that they were like a psychedelic trip. It was like, they had like glistening, shining skin, and like it was like a virtual reality 500 years ahead. It was absolute perfection. Their bodies were absolutely perfect, and it made me thinking. And then they had the most awesome sex in this porno, right?
Yeah.
But the point was, what it made me thinking of was like, this is how we want to live in the future, like, okay, give or take about the sexual situation, but the to live in this perfect kind of paradise reality in a virtual reality. I mean, that is kind of a possibility for the human species. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
I think I do. Yeah, I think I do.
And like, his cock was bigger than huge, but
Right.
but
These
but
idealized versions, right?
yeah. But no, the thing was, it was the quality of their skin that made me like jump, like, holy shit, this is how we want to do it. This is how we want to live in the future, being, free to look as we want to at any point in time. We can change. I want to be a woman. I want to be a man. I want to look like this, or, it's an idea anyway. It's a pretty cool idea of how to live in the future. To not be restrained to our physical circumstances, but actually to, do you understand what I'm trying to hint at? I'm trying to hint it to you.
I mean, I think I do. I think I pick up. I think I pick up what you're saying. I guess my question about it is, how do we reconcile being mindful and present in what we call the quote unquote real world, and also be thoughtful and present in the virtual world? And honestly, are those two things so different?
Right.
I mean, is our reality really finally, is it really objective and concrete? And I question.
Well,
that's a difficult thing.
Well, like Spiros was just saying, our very core conceptions of what we consider normal. For example, male and female, right? I mean, these things. It seems every year that goes by, these things are becoming more and more blurred. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me within the next 20, 30 years if the normal conceptions of male and female are totally irrelevant, are archaic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, I'm a very extreme person. I can just let you in on that secret. And I don't know how much we can talk about sexuality in situation like this, in an interview like this.
I mean, if that's
But
where we're going, that's where we're going. We're fine talking about sexuality at any
we're
time.
we're heading inwards. We're heading inwards toward. No, but like I am slightly bisexual, for instance. And I'm not ashamed of saying it or scared of saying it, but it's also not what people are used to hearing. They're not used to hearing about bisexuality or men with men and women with women and stuff like this. But I'm slightly bisexual. I have a few husbands, and we do what we do, and stuff like this. I have a few wives as well, and we all do what we do together. So I think for me, the feminine and the masculine inside myself has begun to really open up, and like my feminine side gets to play around with guys when I want to, and even my feminine side that is a lesbian, I play around with girls in a lesbian way, with my wives. So for me, this thing about masculine and feminine really has begun to melt and dissolve into a oneness of just pure sexuality, if I can call it that. Just the way I want it at any point in time. And I don't know if that's normal or like frequent or not, but that's the way I do it, and the people in my closeness do it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's interesting. On the topic of gender roles, I think the real question is not whether or not there's some objective truth to gender roles, right? Because I think they're mostly social constructs. I think the real question is, do they make sense and do they really matter, right? And I would argue that the whole gender this fantasy of gender roles that we've had, it mostly just serves patriarchy, and it doesn't matter, and it's not useful. So if something isn't useful, we should discard it, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, there is no, I mean, obviously there are masculine traits, feminine traits, but we decide what those traits are.
I can give you a secret. There are a few people that I know who are men, who have we have discovered that sticking a dildo in your ass and discovering the beauty of just releasing the energy from the ass as a man is actually an awesome way of releasing energy. And most people don't want to hear about it. They're like, what, are you gay, or why are you sticking stuff up your ass? But we discovered it's a powerful way of releasing energy. And it's weird to talk about, I guess, for some people. It sounds strange.
For some reason, sex makes people uncomfortable. That's particularly true in the United States, where we are.
Yeah,
I mean, it's very puritanical here.
Yeah,
but discussing sex makes people very uncomfortable, and especially what you're talking about, the release of energy, like the use of sexuality. In the occult, people talk about sex magic all the time. Like sex magic is a very interesting way of changing your energy, and like, so I don't see why we shouldn't talk about these things in new contexts.
No, well, that's the thing. Like, we call it a carrot. We call it a carrot because it was a joke between me and my friend, and we were talking about the release of energy, and we said, okay, let's stick a carrot up our ass, right? And we did. No, we did. We really did. We went and bought carrots, and we stuck a carrot up our ass, and it released so much energy, because for us men, there's an incredible energy stuck down there in that area, and we did, and it was awesome, and it's so all these things about the thing is, I want to just say this also, that about the Queendom of Ramadi,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we are absolutely relaxed people about everything. You know, we're so relaxed that people get scared. If you're fucking, if you're hardcore tight assed and you're not like relaxed, then you will probably experience the Queendom of Ramadi as scary. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But for
Intimidating.
people, yeah, intimidating. It was like it's too much. But for the people who are relaxed, they come to the Queendom of Ramadi and artsetfree.com. They come there and they go, "Oh my God, this is fucking awesome!" You know. So and yeah, no, the modeled after the Queendom of Crete. Have you guys heard about the Queendom of Crete
I
3,600 years ago?
I have, yeah, I have. I do a little. I think we both do a little anthropological study.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
but go ahead and detail what your connections
Yeah,
are there.
I'm kind of
No,
unfamiliar
yeah.
on it, so yeah, I'd love to hear about it.
Well, no, the thing is, I had an experience in 2005, about 10 years ago, where I was taking mushrooms, eating a lot of mushrooms, was really high,
Hmm.
and I just experienced that I was like, holy shit, I am from Crete. I didn't know if I was reborn from Crete or if I was just remembering Crete or something. But I just felt that like I was reviving the Queendom of Crete,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Okay.
uh,
Yeah.
and I experienced that, you know, we are the Queendom of Crete, and uh, and then I began studying Crete quite
Mm-hmm.
in detail, and then it began to make sense because it was exactly what I was feeling inside. You know, on Crete, they were very, very life loving. They loved life and they celebrated life, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they usually, like, nudity was a kind of normal thing for them, you know. I've heard rumors that if a man, you know, they used to wear these just like a bed sheet around their waist, you know what I mean? The men just a sheet around their waist, you know,
Okay.
and if you would get a boner in public, it was totally cool to have a boner in public on Crete.
Sounds like a
Yeah, yeah. Like there was a lot of there was open sexuality was more
Yeah, it
open,
was.
especially in the ancient
Yeah,
world.
it was a sensual place. It was a sensual place.
And I believe there was briefly a leaderless society on Crete, not for
It was
for a very long period of time.
no, it was not a hierarchical society.
But right.
And another thing about that non-hierarchical structure was that there was no difference between the temple and the palace. The royal palace and the temple was the same thing.
Yeah.
So everyone was a king and a queen. You know, there was no top queen of Crete. Everyone was a king and a queen. And all these things, like, you know, and they celebrated life. They drank wine and walked around nude, and you know, if we want to put the romantic situation of it, it was a fucking paradise, right? They were creating a paradisical situation for themselves on
Mm-hmm.
Crete, you know. And then of course they had their hardships, like, you know, drought, or it was difficult to grow crops and we didn't find any fish and all this, but they created a paradisical situation for themselves.
Do you think maybe that some of that strife, and this is a little afield of the topic, I suppose, But the experience of having strife, of having to go through those hardships, of really having to work for your sustenance, do you think that leads to a greater appreciation of life? So it seems like in our society everything's pre-wrapped, shrunk wrapped,
Right.
single servings, and it's
Right.
all kind of just there. It's very alienating, and
Right.
people are unhappy. And it seems like people were happier even though times were harder. Does
Yeah,
that make
I
sense?
understand what you mean. I understand what you mean. Well, I think that if you if you if you don't have anything to work for at all,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think you get bored quite easily, and then thus because you get bored, you get like numbed. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
if you have nothing to work for, like nothing to strive for. You know. I've experienced that myself, actually. Like I've been on vacation now for 3 months,
Mm-hmm.
and like I am really, really, really understimulated right now
Okay,
because
sure.
I have nothing. I just wake up in the morning and I'm like, okay, what am I waking up to? Nothing. Like I have nothing to wake up to except being free time. And so the first thing I do is pop a bottle of pink champagne in the morning, you know?
Yeah.
I have all the
Yeah.
money I need. I have everything I need. I live in a palace. I have everything I need. I have nothing to wake up to in the morning. Nothing to go up to and work for, you know. And it's really understimulating me, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be fulfilled, you need to have some kind of aim, direction, goal, but it has to be yours. It can't be, I don't think it can be going to
No,
make money for somebody else.
no,
Sure.
You know what
not
I
going
mean?
to work. Going to
You have to
work,
have,
that's bullshit, man.
Well, that
right,
then,
you have to have a creative
and
impulse.
Eric, I've heard that exact argument given by hardcore Republican capitalists. And they say, oh, you liberals or you hippies or whatever, you got too much time on your hands or whatever. And I think that's an
Well,
important distinction. It's not working for the sake of working. I think the key difference is it's working with a greater purpose in mind. It's
yeah,
working
totally,
to
totally,
express your art.
totally.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
you can't do anything if you just work for something that you don't believe in. Then of course that's the same thing. Then you become even more frustrated, you know.
Right, right.
So, but we need to have something to believe in, of course, you know, and but it's not enough to just believe in like, oh well, this corporate office has me hired as a this or that.
Yeah,
That's not
exactly.
enough.
And I think that belief is, it reminds me of an article I just wrote. I wish I could give credit to the author, but I do not recall at this time. But it was very
Uh,
recent, and he was refuting some of the new atheists, right? So, Richard Dawkins, Hitchens, that
right.
bigot Sam Harris. I really hope that comment gets back to him, because I'd like to have him on the show and give him a piece of my mind. But he was refuting some of these people, and he said that to most people, they believe that, just like all the objective scientists believe, that there's some kind of ultimate truth, and that's what's important to people. Well, people don't care what the truth is. People care about their beliefs and their faith and their
Mm,
emotional state, right? Those are the
right.
things that people are actually, you know, fulfilled by. Those are the things that actually change their life, right?
Right.
So it's
Right.
not
Right.
about truth, it's about making your own truth. It's about
Yeah. Yeah.
manufacturing and
Yeah.
creating your own reality, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. No, like, dudes, seriously. Hey, mates. By the way, Let me just say hi. My name is Spiros. Hey, mate.
And there it is. Yeah, there's a new reality created right there. Right?
Yeah.
Well, the question to all that is, it's like, or at least my question is, it's like, at what point does relativism? I mean, I'm totally open to the idea, and I totally agree with the idea. Everyone should be able to believe in what they want, and so forth and so on. But what standard do you hold things to? Is there a standard? I mean, or could just people believe? I mean, because, like, in my opinion, there's a vast difference between someone believing in something absolutely ridiculous and something believing in a very elaborate, sophisticated form of the truth.
Totally. There is a weird difference there. I agree.
So
I agree.
So I mean, how do you apply a sort of standard?
Well, I don't know. What do you say, Eric?
Well, I think to that point, I think there
I
of
have
course
an
has to be
idea. I
some
have an
kind of
idea.
consensus among people,
Yeah,
right?
I have
But I
a
think
cool idea.
I think to find out what that soft truth is, I suppose you could call it, is you have to explore all possibilities. You have to be
I have
open
a
to
cool
exploring all those
idea.
possibilities.
I have a
Sure,
cool
sure.
idea regarding that, man. Guys, I have a
Go
cool
ahead.
idea regarding that. And that is the fucking psilocybin mushroom.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Solution to all our problems.
Yes. No,
Please no one put that on a meme anywhere.
No, but the thing is, the cool thing about it is that you go, wait a minute, this might actually work, you know? Like, if we can somehow, this is what the Queendom of Ramadi is. It is a way of looking at the situation, right?
Mhm.
And it's based on ayahuasca and mushrooms, and it's sort of a thing where we go, okay, do we agree that, you know, this and this and this and this is how it is? And people go, yes, we agree that in the Queendom of Ramadi, this is how it is. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's a kind of way of just gathering together as a team and saying, you know, we've had it with these fucking assholes who eat hot dogs for breakfast and, you know, just like glorify this and that, you know.
Sure.
And we're gonna do our thing based on the mushroom and ayahuasca.
It's kind
One
of a
of my
consensus process.
Yeah, it is. It's a paradox because everybody goes, oh, there can be no consensus in the mushroom and ayahuasca. Of course, there can be consensus in ayahuasca. You know, it's like, are you high right now, and do you experience this? Everybody goes, yes, I understand. You know, when we drink ayahuasca, me and my family, um, we call it plumari, like the place that we come to when we drink ayahuasca. We call that place plumari, right?
Yeah.
So we founded a queendom, and we call it the Queendom of Ramadi. It's the space you come to on mushrooms and ayahuasca. It's not much more difficult than that, right?
Sure.
It's
That
as simple
zone.
as that. Yeah, it's that zone. And we call that place the Queendom of Ramadi.
About how many people would you say are officially part of Queendom of Plumari, or regard themselves as being in
Right. Well,
Plumari?
I have no idea when it comes to the people who have come in contact with it. You know, there's no way to know how many. But I, in contact with me personally, every day and whom I work with, it's about maybe 50 people.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Whom I work with like daily and have contact with daily. You know.
Interesting.
But we have no idea how many, because the website has been up for many years. And I mean, the website came online 2005. It's 10 years ago. So we have no idea how many people who have actually visited the website, read the books, and all this. You know, so.
Now, as far as the books go, well, first of all, is there a difference between Queendom of Plamari and Art Set Free?
No, I mean, like, the Queendom of Plamari, the artsetfree.com is the website of the Queendom of Plamari.
Okay.
Okay.
And the various books you've put out, they're just different ways of you sort of elaborating on this underlying philosophy.
Yes. I mean, the books are kind of the story of how the Queendom came to be, and also just a lot of fucking details on what the Queendom is about, you know?
Interesting.
The books, yeah.
Fascinating.
I mean,
tell me a little bit about the one book that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
Is the Mushroom Seamstress. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about that one? I'll say this up front. It's interesting. It's avant-garde. It's experimental. It's an interesting read. Why don't you go into that a little bit?
Okay. Well, the Mushroom Seamstress began when I lived in Nepal, and I was eating mushrooms all the time, basically, and I came in contact with something or someone within the mushroom trip as I experienced it, and we fell in love, really, you know. And then eventually she said, "Yeah, my name is Sissy Cogan and Butterfly." And I began writing down our experience together as a book, you know.
Okay.
And then I lived my life. I ate mushrooms, and I met Sissy Cogan, and every time I ate mushrooms, I met Sissy Cogan. And eventually, it became a book of 850 pages, which we named The Mushroom Seamstress. We named ourselves the Seamstress. As a one person, the Seamstress, but we felt we all merged as one person, even though we are several people. We call ourselves the Seamstress. So that's the book, The Mushroom Seamstress. It's 850 pages. It's on artsetfree.com.
Yeah, it's absolutely interesting and worth taking a look at. Art Set Free is also excellent website. Why don't you talk a little bit about? Well, really, I'd like you to talk a little bit about your art projects, because I find a lot of them very interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a musician, so I have a band. We have a band called Sissy Cogan. We have a band called Sissy Cogan, and we put 200 songs on YouTube. So we're a bunch of musicians. We make music. We make all kinds of art. Our band is called Sissy Cogan, and our YouTube channel, just search for Sissy Cogan and you'll find our YouTube channel.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're strictly a musician? I mean, obviously you're a writer too. Do you do any like graphic style art?
I used to paint paintings in acrylics and oil. Also, I used to use that to sell, just to make money. You know, I used to paint paintings.
Okay.
I am not a visual artist though. Like sound, music, and writing has been my ways of expressing myself. I'm not at all good at visual art. In the future, my hope is to work with people who are skilled in the visual arts, so I can work with them. But I know nothing about visual arts, like video, film, Photoshop. This thing, I know nothing about it.
Sure. Now, I mean, because it seems to me you're a pretty. I really don't want to use the word, but it's really the only word that would come to my mind. You're an eclectic, liberal person. If you, I know Sweden is a relatively liberal country. How do you sort of fit in with the general populace, would you say?
Well, I don't fit in at all with Sweden. Like the only reason I live here is because I come from a rich family. We have a lot of money. We used to say on artsetfree.com, we used to say that we are the World Bank. It was a kind of joke, but not a joke as well. It's like, we are the World Bank. We have a lot of money. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah.
So basically, I stay in Sweden because it's a calm place. There's no dictator, and there's like not a lot of criminality, and it's just a calm place to be.
Sure. But I mean, are your ideas, the general ideas, I mean, I just feel like you'd have a lot more leeway there than the town me and Eric live in, for example.
Absolutely. Or the States in general, honestly.
Right.
Do you think so?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the United States, I've often said, first of all, it's anything but calm,
Right.
A great deal of state, well, I'll say it, there's a great deal of state repression, although people would argue that point with me.
Right.
But there's also, a huge amount of class tension, gender and sexual tension, and racial tension.
I don't know, like, Sweden will never, they won't sue me for spreading words about the mushroom. They will never sue me or anything like this. Mm-hmm. It's a calm place. I'm not, like, I'm an artist. I'm not trying to sell mushrooms or stuff like this. I am saying that the mushroom is worthwhile checking into, and just check it out. But I'm not selling mushrooms. And so Sweden is a pretty cool place to just be a peaceful queendom, the Queendom of Ramadi, and just spread the vibe, spread a good vibe. It's a pretty cool place to do it.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the Scandinavian countries, Sweden. I mean, it seems fairly open-minded and liberal.
It's pretty open-minded and liberal in those ways, and like we are. Sweden is a very careful country. It's like we're laid back. We're laid back in a way, Sure. We haven't been in a war for like 300, 400 years, and we're pretty laid back. And as I said, I'm not selling mushrooms. So what I'm doing is we've established a queendom, the Queendom of Ramadi, and we're gonna take our stand. And the mushroom and ayahuasca and all these things are a central part of it. But we're not selling it openly, and we're not trying to push anyone into it. It's like, here's our thing, check it out if you want to. If you don't want to, then fine. So nobody's gonna get in trouble at all.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I mean, you're just offering kind of a state of mind or a lifestyle, a philosophy.
Yeah.
For people,
yeah, exactly.
Right? And they can join or not join, or join and leave as they please. You know what I mean? Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's like a state of mind. It's
It's just it's a suggestion. The Queendom of Ramadi is a suggestion, in a way.
I like that. I like that. It's a suggestion. And it's one of many, like I said. I mean, there's all these vast possibilities on the fringes quote unquote, of our societies that are offering
Right.
new ways of thinking, new ways of doing things, new ways of interacting with other people. And I think that's
Right.
largely positive.
Right.
No doubt about it.
I mean, so yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think somebody with your sort of philosophy, what's interesting about it and what's sort of exciting about it is, our quote unquote system gives you a very regimented, narrow set of rules that you got to play by. And not just,
Right.
rules like economics, but rules like sexuality, rules like religion. And they may not be overt. I mean, America calls itself a free country. But if you're not fitting that specific type or fitting those specific stereotypes, it's very difficult to sort of rise up through the ranks and be considered a success. So it's like, in order to be a player in this system, you really do have to take on a set of attributes. And when someone like you comes along and starts, preaching something like the Queendom of Plamari, it really sort of shakes and you show people that people are actually enjoying themselves in such a radically different lifestyle. It really shakes people up that are totally subscribed into the mainstream view of reality.
Yeah, totally.
And I think it's we need more people like you. We need more people with radical ideas and radical lifestyles, because like we were saying earlier, the more views, the more perspectives that are on the table, the better.
Yeah, and I think. Sorry, Eric, continue.
Oh, I was just gonna say a quote that I harp on all the time is another Terence McKenna quote. He said, "If the artist cannot find the way, then the way cannot be found."
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. I've heard that one. That's always been one of my guidelines as well, man.
It's honestly like a light in the darkness, and I think that's what artists need to be as well. The true role of an artist is to be a light in the darkness.
Yeah, that's why it says on the Queendom of Ramadi on the website, it says just under the title of Ramadi, it says our eternal shining light. And I think one of my inspirations for the Plamari Queendom is that, something that shines in the darkness, because there is a lot of darkness in the world, and isn't there anything beautiful going on?
Right.
Isn't there some kind of peaceful place or something? Isn't there any heart of the situation which is just totally peaceful? Like, I remember eating pancakes when I was a kid, 10 years old or 8 years old, and everything was just perfectly peaceful. Like, I was just eating pancakes and just going, wow, this is a tasty pancake with strawberry jam and cream, and like I wanna give energy to that place, the childhood queendom, the place where we're just totally fulfilled and happy without needing anything,
Yeah, it makes me think, I mean, right now that place is just a state of mind, like childhood, for example. I mean, the world, at least in all of our childhoods, was well, certainly just as stressful and just as riotous as it is today, right? But that your mindset as a child was this peaceful, idyllic mindset, and as you described the Queendom of Plamari, that's a mindset in which you get into a place that's peaceful and idyllic, right?
Totally.
And I think what we need to do is manifest that from our consciousness into this reality, and I think that's the goal of what we're all trying to do.
Absolutely. And I'm just taking the leap, me and my beloveds and my close ones and my family, we're taking the leap of actually having the courage to call this place Plumani, right? We're like, well, let's call it the Queendom, our Queendom of Plumani, Let's dare call it something, you know?
Sure.
It's like calling the archaic revival something, you know? It's called the archaic revival. Yeah, well, okay, let's call it the Queendom of Ramadi. It's a place that we can connect to in the heart, you know, in the best moments that we have. And it's actually, I'm not just out on a whim here. It's, you know, Crete, as I spoke about earlier, Crete didn't have a hierarchical queen and king. There was no top king. Everyone was king and queen. It was all about enjoying life and living life and celebrating life. So there was no top king in the Cretan Queendom. So we're trying to revive this kind of idea of a partnership reality where we all celebrate life, and instead of pushing down life as so much of the Western world does, it like pushes life down. Now we're trying to turn that around, and we call it the Queendom of Ramadi. It's just the way we come to talk about it.
Sure. No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I want to talk to you about one additional thing. We're almost at our time here, but you were
Okay.
involved in a website, I think, called deoxy.org.
Right. Well, yeah, what about it?
It was just a really interesting website. It's a website that Pat and I have talked about off and on for a long time. It was just always just such a strange, interesting forum, interesting place for ideas. I'd just like to hear a little bit about how it came to be. Like, who were those?
Well,
Who were those people?
right. Who were those people?
Exactly right.
Well, I didn't have anything to do with the actual creation of it. But I knew some of the people who were, in the core project.
Mm-hmm.
I know, especially my best friend was involved in the actual building of the site, and like this. My best friend.
Okay.
I was quite young at the time, so a few of the people building the site, they liked me, but they thought I was a little bit too wild and crazy and high to be involved in the actual management of the site.
Interesting.
But I knew several of the people building the site. Yes.
It's probably one of my favorite all time websites. I mean, I could go on that site and just search for hours and hours, but at the same time, it was always a very mysterious site for me. I didn't know who was behind it. I didn't know, there's a lot of unanswered questions with it.
Yes, I prefer to not mention names, if that's okay.
Oh no, for sure, yeah. But
no, absolutely, yeah.
But
I know several people who built the site, but and they're still my best friends,
Mm-hmm.
But I prefer to not mention names. If that's okay.
Well, no, of course. And if anybody wants to check it out, deoxy.org, really interesting site to spend, probably way too much time on.
Yeah. Deoxy.org, as in deoxyribonucleic hyperdimension, is the full name.
So, Spiros, I guess, really, we're coming up on our time. I hate to end the conversation, really.
It's okay. It's okay.
But, I do hope you'll come back to the show at some point.
Oh, sure. I'd love to. I hope I haven't been, boring. I've tried to just be myself, and instead of just, giving simple answers to complex questions, I've tried to be myself. So I hope I haven't been boring or anything.
I'll tell you this. I think I think in the time that we've been doing this show, I've never once had a show that was just completely boring. I think we've always had interesting people. You're certainly interesting.
Right.
I've had a fun time. Why don't you talk a little bit about your websites and your books, and let people know where they can contact you and learn more.
Okay. Well, yeah. we are the Queendom of Ramadi, and we are a queendom who are reviving, partly reviving styles of the past from Egypt and India and South America and Crete. We are reviving styles and fashions of the past in the form of a queendom nowadays called the Queendom of Ramadi. And it began with Spiros and me and Sissy Cogan and Butterfly. We began working together, and we have a website called artsetfree.com. I'll say it again, artsetfree.com. So go there and join us in this adventure of reviving and also just new things, just whatever comes to us. It's an adventure. It's nothing finished. But join us at artsetfree.com.
And join the Queendom.
Join the Queendom of Ramadi.
Join the Queendom of Ramadi, right?
Well, Spiros, it's been great. I appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was awesome. And I hope I wasn't too boring with my long answers. I guess I gave long answers, but yeah, that's what you get.
No, absolutely. We had a good time. All right, everyone. Another episode of the Free Radical Media podcast. Eric Scott Picard, joined as ever by Patrick Ryan. Go ahead, Pat.
See you later, everyone. Thanks again, Spiros.
All right, and remember, everyone, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our website, freeradicalmedia.wordpress.com. Thanks for joining us.
Excellent.